In 1989, Phumlaphi Zwane left KZN to find work in Johannesburg after becoming a teenage mother. She could count on the love of her family, a matric certificate and her faith, but had no job prospects and no knowledge of the business world or life in the big city. Let's take a look at her story. Zwane has become a household name in South Africa. In her first memoir titled Conquering the Poverty of the Mind, she outlines her progress from virtually having no income or place to stay to being the first person to commercialize the shisanyama. And she joins us to talk to us about her new book. Zwane, thank you so much for your time. It's a very interesting book because you start by outlining your family background. You talk about your mother and your father. But as life would happen, a tragic event happened where your father passed away and your mother had to hit the ground running, knowing very well that she had kids to support and you were on the way as well. Take me through that period where you watched your mom, trying to make ends meet, making sure that the family was well taken care of, and some of the aspects about that entire period that you admired about her.
Thank you so much for inviting me and to the viewers as well. Yes, let me go back to as far as when I was 5 years old. You know, a young girl, you're going to the primary school. Of course, you know, the uniform has to be bought. The mother takes you to school, but we did not have privilege those years to be taken by our parents. You know, if there's a bigger brother or a bigger sister, that's the one who will take you to school. And well, a year go past, 2 years, 3 years, I get to grade 8. I get to grade like 3 these days. And obviously children, they come, they are nicely dressed and they've got, you know what you call it, kaftini. Yeah, and when you check that kaftini, it's nicely prepared. There is poloni. Poloni was, you know, when you have a sandwich with poloni those days, you know that you're coming from a background that is a little bit upper class. So my mom realized that, you know what, for me to be able to have like sort of something to eat at school, like every day, rather, she buys a packet of sweets, give it to me so that I sell that sweets. I remember I sold the sweets and they were finished. And then she says, how much is left? She told me the price, how much is left? And I told her that, look, I'm left with, from the price that you're telling me, I'm left with about 3 rand or 4 rand. She says, good. Then keep the 3 rand, give me the other money, I'm going to buy sweets. And I think that's when the entrepreneurial journey was cultivated. But I watched my mom raising 7 children on her own when my dad was not there. I watched my mom going to work, you know, as a domestic worker. And she comes back, she realizes that the salary that she's getting is not enough. And she then continued to make like amaguinya, you know, like scones. And she would get us to go and sell that with my sisters and my brothers. So I watched her growing up, supplementing her income, which is why I normally say those were really immortals. Because when you look back and you look at the salary they were getting, Nastassia, how I know how much they were getting, because there were times when I grew up and as a teenager, 14, 15 years, I would go with her to her place of work. She will show me how you do the washing, you know, the washing line. I would go and hang the washing. And then up to a time when she said to me, you know what, over the holiday, school's holiday, because you know the work that I've been doing, you can go on your own. And employers started to trust me.
The one thing that struck me in the book was the lifeline that your sister provided for you in enabling you to be able to take that journey to Johannesburg. Because I suppose when one is young, you make mistakes.
Sure.
And the one thing that your family didn't do was hold you to those mistakes for the rest of your life. Because as cliche as the statement is, you are not your mistakes. You have to move on and put your life together. Tell me the importance of that meeting, that decision when your sister said, I will take care of Senzo, you go to Johannesburg and go and change your life.
In this particular case, it was get all the family members, especially brothers, so that they know my mom was that kind of a woman, so that they know that if I let you go, it's not just me that says, when I'm Zwane, you can go, and I alone will be looking after the children. If they let you go, all of us, that means we are responsible, all of them, including my mom, to raise Umshana like I, because we all agreed that Zwane can go. That was, if I were to share that experience, for me, it was a case of if they had said, no, you can't go, I would have stayed. and there wouldn't be any memo, and there wouldn't be any concept of Shisanyama that I commercialized. So when I look back at that critical decision that was first made by them, and then my sister, of course, they had to agree with my sister. And when my sister, this is another thing with women that I love telling the story. It's first my mom, entrepreneurial, and my sister who gave me that lifeline. When they were saying, then who's going to look after the child? My sister came and says, okay, I will do it. So the minute my sister says she will do it, my other brother, Usengati, said, okay, we're not the one who's going to have sleepless nights when the child cries, because the child was about 6 months. If her bigger sister is going to do that, then it's fine. I tell you, I wanted to fly. I was so excited to be given an opportunity, but anxious at the same time, because it's not like I knew City of Gold. Only when we go to church in Springs, then that was like sort of once or once in 2 years. In Springs, then we'll go to church. So going to Johannesburg, there were greener pastures. You know, people were talking about Ikoli, even on Ukozi. When we grew up, we used to hear Ulindwe Gantuli. Etiksekoli, yabona nje kanyama kayipheli. I did not realize Timine ngobe ngitata mazinye ndoda maseksekoli, but yes.
All right. So fast forward, you have established this wonderful business. What were the early days of the Shisanyama like when you still had the containers?
Wow. You know those days, funny because yesterday I was talking about it and I was basically saying, I remember the good old days. You know when you say the good old days, when at that time the Shisanyama was not as saturated as it is now. And but starting on a street corner in a shipping container, the pot that is up there, I always tell a story about it because that's the first pot I use, and that was 2 liter a pot that could only make up to 10 portions, and those 10 portions will last the whole day. But when I started it, one thing that I still, stays in my mind, the fact that I had 2 years of starting Shisanyama when I was still full-time employed, when I was still waitressing, when I still had the car that I had bought and realizing that it's a liability, not an asset, and that car was contracted in a courier company. So basically, by the time I started Shisanyama, those years, 1997, I actually had 4 jobs. It was 1 full-time job, 2 part-time job, and a business at the same time. And 2 years later, when I realized that what I was getting from the business I started was in a container, month end was sort of like the profit that I was getting was 2 times my monthly salary. Then I thought, okay, now it's time to leave everything and focus on my business. Boy, when I look now, I think what a brilliant decision I made. Because for me, it's not just about Zwane and Imbizo Shisanyama, Zwane and Nastassia in Ivory Park, in Midrand, it's not just about me, it's the entire subsector that was created, the subsector that exploded in food and beverage industry, the sector that talks to African lifestyle, the sector that talks to our identity, the sector that says, let's just celebrate, our African culture and heritage, memories get created. Tourists, when they come outside of South Africa or Africa, things like Abu Sushi or pizza, pasta, you can name them, they've left that where they come from, but they wanted to have an African experience.
You've made the decision to pass on the reins to your son.
Yes.
What's the next adventure for you? Where is life taking you right now? Is there something that you have discovered that has excited you and that could be the next opportunity for Zwane?
Yes. Speaking of legacy again, please allow me to touch on this one, because also it was a conscious decision for me, especially township businesses, to say township businesses, they grow, and when they grow, we too, as people who started them, we also grow, But the legacy is the fact that as you build your business, bring your children also to understand that business, so that by the time you feel that, there is succession planning. I had planned that when my son finishes at school, he was at University Cape Town, at Cape Town University, when he finishes, then he must take over. Ask me how that came to my mind. Because with my mom, when we used to go, at Brea Station, I used to see, the shops, the Indian shops that were owned by Indian children, 8, 4 years. The bunny, Coke, the Coke, yes, and the coconuts, when you won't know, because you're not our generations, there are cakes that we used to buy with raisins, but they were like sort of hard, like sort of like half brick cake. Yeah. But you'll eat that cake, it will be full. Guess who was selling those to us? It was the children that were 7, 8 years. When my mom takes me to go and buy vegetables, you would find there at the market, children are selling to us. And I had that idea of saying, you know what, in succession planning, it's very important to get your children to grow with the business. And when they grow with the business, you make it easy for them to take over because they understand it.